There are no shortcuts when you're selling your business. Selling your business takes a lot of work. It's hard. It takes a significant commitment from you in time, money, energy, and also assembling a team to help you through the transaction to get the deal that works for you and your family. I've had this conversation. I've mentioned on this podcast 100 times, if not more. Don't pick up that phone unless you're ready. And don't pick up that phone to talk to a potential buyer, is that you need to be properly represented in a transaction. I'm kdee, President of Osage Advisors. Welcome back to our podcast, Ins and Outs of Selling a Business, this week's big hurdle. The reason why I'm bringing this subject up again is I started this podcast, and I mentioned again years ago, where you need to be prepared, you need to be represented, you need to test the market. Don't pick up the phone with a buyer. And the reason why I'm talking about it again, and I will continue to talk about it again in the future, is that I've been brought into several situations recently where, that seller, that potential client picked up the phone, and it turned out to be an utter disaster that has caused them great anxiety, stress, not only in money. And I'm going to give you these examples so we can just run through them and maybe some ideas, right? So the first one is a potential client was approached by a buyer. Hey, we like you. We'd like to come to see you. You're a good fit for us. And they come in, they have dinner, they break bread, they tour the plant, in this case. They leave, dead silence, nothing. For 3 months. 3 months, nothing. All of a sudden, email pops up. Hey, we're back in the area. I'd love to come see you again. What does it tell you? They are setting you up for a deal that works for them. So you come back, and in the meantime, you're thinking about all this, right? You're thinking, where are we? What's going on? What happened? And there's no offer on the table, just having a conversation. Well, that conversation is distracting you from what? Running your business. So they come back in. We get a little more detailed, right? We sign an NDA and all things else. And this is what they did. And we get into some of the nuts and bolts of the technology platform and how this works and the synergies and everything else. And we love this and blah, blah, blah. And they kind of float out, maybe share some financial information, which in this case they did. And they come back and they put forth an offer that is, let's say, substandard, well below market. And you say, look, thanks, but no thanks. You need this is the kind of number I need to make this work. Again, you're not really working with anybody. You're just having this conversation. And we don't even know the number you put back to them is even market. Could be well below market. So they say, let us think about it. We'll be back to you. Again, same 6 months goes by now. This is true story. 6 months goes by, and they know not a word, not even a thank you for buying them dinner this time. And then they come back, hey, we're going to be in the area. We think we'd love to put some equipment in your facility. Well, what does that mean? I'm not looking to put equipment, I'm looking to sell my business. And this time they say, hey, we really like you, but we need 3 to 6 months. We're closing another deal. And then we got to then, of course, figure out what that valuation gap is. First off, if you're not a priority to them, they should not be even in the game with you. They should not even be a consideration for you. They should be out because they're not putting you first. You put 10, 20, 30, 40 years, maybe first, second, third generation business, and this is not a priority. You should tell you something right away. You're wasting your time. You're taking too much of your energies to something that's not going to get you what you want. That's one situation. Another situation is where they picked up the phone, right? And again, I'm big advocate, test the market, have a team behind you, multiple offers, really understand the valuation. They got into a deal, and this one they went deeper, right? They actually signed a letter of intent. They started due diligence. They got into due diligence. They went on and on and on and on, right? And, well, the numbers you said aren't really the numbers we came up with. Some difference, and it could be, right? We don't know, right? As my son always says, make sure your house is in order everywhere, including your financials. No surprises. So they come back and say, look, well, it wasn't exactly what we thought. So what are they going to do to you? They're going to retrade. And you do the math on the retrade, and after taxes, everything else, I mean, this is not worth it to me to sell. I can make, I can work at 2 more years and make more money than that. And so, but you just went through this whole stressful, I mean, the guy I was talking, he's exhausted through this whole thing. He finally sat down with his family, said, I can't do this, which is a smart decision, but it took him 8 months to get there. Don't pick up the phone. The third one, which is even more concerning, is they signed a letter of intent for evaluation, which we felt was way below market. They went through an exhaustive period of due diligence, including the legal work, which, lawyers earn their fees. It's a huge investment on your part, depending on the deal. It could be $100,000, it could be 200, 300, it could be $500,000, right? Depending on the size of the deal. But a good lawyer is worth every nickel. They get to the finish line. He can't finance it. His financing falls through. Or maybe he never had it. I don't know. I wasn't involved in that process. Our client spent a huge amount of money. Not only that, but also his employees were well versed of what the transaction was at this point, because we're getting towards the closing, and the guy's financing. He didn't have in his, ask the question, are we good? Do you have term sheets? Are you have proposals? Do you have a commitment letter from your bank equity source to do the deal? So it fell apart after like 9 months, and he cost him a lot of money and stress. So how do you mitigate all this? It's simple. Don't pick up the phone and test the market. You hire a firm like Osage, run a full process, multiple bids. At the same time, you meet with those buyers and see what value proposition they put forth to you that works for you, that meets the goals and objectives of why you're selling the business, and it will take the company. That value proposition is not just a number, right? It's not just the money. It's the legacy of your firm, your culture, employees. The market's going to speak to value, and you can make an informed decision on who the best buyer is. That's how you get it done. Don't pick up the phone. I'm going to have this conversation 1 million times over the next, hopefully 10 years of this podcast, because people continue to pick up the phone. Again, I'm kdee, President of Osage Advisors. Thank you for being with us today for our podcast, The Ins and Outs of Selling a Business, this week's Big Hurdle. Hope you enjoyed the episode. If you like it, you feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel by hitting the button below. Talk to you soon.